With the commencement of the rainy season, the Nigerian Army says it has deployed troops in several of the northern states to protect farmers. A statement by the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed the deployment was made particularly in the northwest and the north-central states. According to him, the move has since enabled several farmers access to their farms for a heat-free planting season towards a bumper harvest. This move comes amid food shortage in the country, which has worsened the food inflation, put at over 40% by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Meanwhile, experts have also blamed insecurity and lack of equipment as major challenges affecting food production in Nigeria. Let's speak to one of those experts. Agro-entrepreneur Julius Oga joins me on the news. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Now, how crucial is this deployment of troops in several northern states in the country to protect farmers ahead of the planting season, considering the negative impact insecurity in those parts?
Thank you for having me, Mr. Oladipo. I think we need to understand something within the context of which is within the correct contextualization. I do not think that the statement by the defense spokesperson, Major General Edward Buba, is referring to, the deployment of soldiers to guard farms. That is not what is implied. In the media, you have these nuances, this tendency to take reports on the basis of straight line reporting, if I may put it that way. I think the context in which spokesperson is saying, means is that expression is that soldiers have been deployed to areas that are replete with bandit attacks and insecurity. And these areas are mostly communal areas and agricultural communities. So the presence of soldiers in the vicinity will also stall the activities of bandits, which now allows, residents and inhabitants of those communities to indulge more in agricultural activity. So the context in which it is being taken it sounds as if it is meant that soldiers are now out to guard farms. No, we don't have enough troops to do that. In fact, not even in the United States, which is one of the greatest superpowers in the world, the soldiers go to guard farms. Not to talk of a beleaguered country like Nigeria, where we have a very large population and very few, comparatively very few officers under arms. And we have the entire country is now under siege by insecurity. So we don't have the luxury of having security men that will go and guard farms. But the deployment of soldiers to areas of concern, areas of interest, areas of high insecurity and banditry and criminal activities is a welcome development. If that is, be that as it may, I think I was reading an in-depth report on this report about soldiers being deployed to other places. And one of Nigeria's major dailies, the Lagos-based newspaper, went out of its way to interview even governors and commissioners of agriculture and information across so many of these states. And they admitted they've not seen soldiers coming around. Well, that may be the case, but you would expect that generally there will be soldiers in areas, states of interest like Zamfara, like Katsina, like Kaduna, like Benue, and like Nasarawa. There will be soldiers in areas, those are areas of operation and areas of interest to them. So if they are there, their presence will also, affect the freedom of action of bandits who would use, the opportunity of having ungoverned spaces to do all the things they do and hold farmers to ransom. I think that is my understanding of this deployment you just spoke about.
Yeah, so finally, food inflation in the country has gone beyond the 40% mark despite a decline in core inflation to 33.40%. Now, do you think the 150-day suspension of duties, tariffs and taxes on certain food items will help address this inflation as the Nigerian government expects?
It will do quite, it will be minimal. If floating the exchange rate has affected a lot of things. And you know the way these economic uh, variables are interdependent. One thing in one sector affects other things in other sectors. And you have a situation whereby you go to the market and things that are produced here and there, somebody will tell you it is because the value of exchange rate of the dollar to the naira is very high. That's the reason why there's inflation. The lifting of tariffs should actually help to bring down the cost of food, but is it actually doing so? The answer is no. That is why food inflation has gone over 40% as we speak. So I think what the government really needs to do, the homework the government has to do, is to ensure that there are commodity markets, that there is enough commodities in government reservations whereby the government can influence prices by giving people an alternative. If people have an alternative where they can buy subsidized buy food commodities at subsidized prices or at government regulatory prices. Those who are selling in the open market will have no option but to bring down their prices. So to talk about tariffs and all of that, the farmer in the market is just hearing the news on the radio. The commodity sellers in the market don't really care about your tariffs or whatever you're doing. They're just hearing it on radio. As far as they are concerned, the cost of living and the incentives for inflation keep just increasing. Just recently, the government is talking about the implementing of 70,000 minimum wage for government workers. This, if you ask me, are also incentives for inflation because the people who are selling food commodities are going to want to take their own cut. And so this until we have a situation where there is a government alternative price, a government regulatory price that says go to point A and buy commodities at so given prices, and it is not taken over by middlemen. Inflation of food is not going to come down anytime soon. Right now, as we speak, in some of these high intensity food production areas, we're having reports about farms being washed away by floods. In Jigawa, in Bauchi, in Kano, we're also having, at the same time, we're having droughts, in some places. So we're being beleaguered from all sides for all kinds of things, by all kinds of things that are trying to ensure that we don't get food cheap anytime soon. How long this will continue, I do not know.
Measures implemented by the federal government or about to be implemented will help address these challenges. Agro-entrepreneur Julius Oga, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.